You're listening to a glimpse inside on the Superpowerup Network, the show that affirms for people there is more to life, and it is possible to be happy, inspired, successful, joyous, and free. Welcome. This is a glimpse inside. I'm Wendy Perrotti, and today we're beginning our 4-part Letting Happiness Win series with a conversation about what's behind a happy life. My guest today is a force to be reckoned with, and I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about being happy. Justin Recla is an Army veteran and former counterintelligence agent who transitioned those counterintelligence techniques into the business world. Justin increases trust and certainty for his clients' business relationships and has founded the Clear Business Directory to promote transparency in business-to-business transactions. In addition to changing how business gets done, Justin courageously embarked on the Superpower Experts adventure with his wife, Executive Director Tonya Doan Recla. As Director of Operations, he provides the much-needed balance to her cosmic persona, which I can attest to. Justin's clients benefit from his practical approach to transformation and evolution, whether it's learning how to utilize the abstract frequency in business, managing logistics while maintaining high vibration, or accessing information from different realms. Justin is the expert to call on. And if you're looking to create an edge for yourself in business, do not miss his insanely good podcast, Incorporating Superpowers. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Wendy, for having me on the show.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So I'm kind of guessing that there are a lot of listeners out there, now that I've read your bio, saying, what the hell? What's the counterintelligence business disruptor guy going to tell us about what's really behind a happy life?
Yeah, it's one I can share from just sheer experience. A lot of people don't like to, they think counterintel, they think James Bond or Jason Bourne or whatnot, and how, most of those kinds of archetypes aren't, necessarily happy. They're drama filled, they're action filled, whatever that perception that people might have of that role. And that, it's so funny is that role was the role that I played in that arena feels so far removed now. I mean, we were just down in Sierra Vista at Fort Huachuca, taking our 10-year-old for the first time onto base to give her a glimpse as to the world that we came from. And it was the first time that she's ever seen behind the scenes of what we used to do. And she got a glimpse of it. And literally a lifetime ago, 10 years ago, but it served me well. Everything I learned in that arena served me very, very well and helped me create the foundation for the life that we've built so far.
Mm. So before we get on to what's really behind a happy life, since you're the business guy, do you think there's a place for happy in the business world?
It's a great question.
It's a loaded question because you know what I think.
That is a loaded question. Thank you for pulling that back. This is the biggest misnomer that people have when they transitioned into being business owners, is that thinking that running your own business is going to bring you happiness. And first and foremost, to answer your question direct, yes, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Simple as that.
Right on.
Right. Simple as that. I mean, that's the basics. That's the basis for anything that we do in our business. Is 1, is it fun? 2, is it easy? And 3, is it in alignment with God's purpose for the path that He's put us on? And if it doesn't meet those 3 criteria, we don't do it. We just don't do it. I mean, and we've turned clients away, tens of thousands of dollars just because it wasn't going to be fun. It wasn't in alignment with their mission. Absolutely, could we have helped the person? Sure. But knowing that we weren't going to have fun doing it, we referred them out to somebody else who would better serve them, and it's being able to have the courage to say, nope, not going to do that because I know it's not fun.
I think a couple of those things people don't realize generally. We sort of associate fun with happy. but we don't necessarily think about easy enough in our lives, right? We
Mm,
complicate things to such a degree that we forget that there's so many ways that we can go about things, and most of them are a hell of a lot easier than our initial approach or our initial
yeah.
instinct for approach, right?
Yep. Well, and that's the key though, is when you're inside the box and you're looking out, you only know what you know,
Mm.
right? And we've seen this. I mean, we've consulted with, thousands of owners over the last 8 years, and you don't know what you don't know. You only can see the perspective that you've had. But if you're willing to step outside of the box and look at it from an observer standpoint and recognize that, oh, wait, maybe there are some things that I can learn here. Maybe there are some things that I don't know that if I just make a slight tweak, this becomes easier. You don't have to struggle. It doesn't have to be hard. And if
Mm.
it's not easy, that's your first indicator that you probably shouldn't be doing it.
That something's out of line, right? I read something somewhere. I think it was in Chip and Dan Heath's work. I love those guys, so a lot of my info has come from them.
Mhm.
I think it was them that said that in their research, people try to find a solution that is equally complex to the problem.
Mhm.
Right? And with all of those moving parts, we end up going awry. Um,
Yeah.
so the third thing that you said that I loved about being happy is alignment with purpose. And for you and Tonya, it's alignment with the divine. Um, whatever that is for people, I think people find themselves stuck sometimes, thinking they're doing the right thing, they're trying to be happy. In essence, the pieces are in place for them to be happy, and yet they're not. And often that's a misalignment with their own sense of value and purpose. Was there a
Mhm.
time in your life where like you kind of woke up and said, huh, I'm out of alignment with where I'm supposed to be, or what I'm supposed to be doing or need to be doing?
Yeah, it's that yeah, I get the chills as you just said that. Um because absolutely, um I was blessed to have married my guru.
Mhm.
And the what I have learned from being with Tonya over the last 12 years. One, she's a remarkable woman, knows more than any person on the planet that I've ever met. Her ability to connect and communicate with the divine and help people see what it is that they're doing is by far just amazing. And if anybody's had a conversation with her, they know what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Uh, but for me, I was in this great relationship with her, and I knew I was doing this work. Knew this was the path that we were supposed to be on. We're building these businesses and all of these things, and everything was working. But I was seeing things from a very lower level, from a bottom level up. I didn't have the vision that she had, and it wasn't until April of last year, Easter, as a matter of fact, Easter 2019, when I got baptized, that my perspective shifted.
Wow.
And it was a huge alignment because I was looking at things, especially as an operations director, whereas it's get shit done and make things happen, and that was all working fine and well. But I was in this mindset of check the box, check the box, check the box, and I wasn't seeing things from a bigger perspective. And while I was happy per se, I knew I wasn't living my life at the highest, and that was because I was not seeing it from that higher perspective and seeing it from how it was lined up with the divine and the guidance that Tony had been given. And while I was the mechanics of helping make everything work, I wasn't in alignment with that divine purpose and my role in it. And when I got baptized, it literally completely shifted my perspective on things. And I started doing things differently. I started seeing things differently. I started seeing how It wasn't just about check the box that made me happy. Yeah, absolutely. Get it. I'm a generator. I love checking the box, right? I love seeing my task list complete, but nothing makes me more happy than knowing that the work that we're doing in the world is in service to something greater than ourselves, and it's having an impact on other people's lives. And it was that moment, that time, that when I got baptized, that my life and the way I live it, the way I work, and the way I connect and interact with people completely changed. And since then, my perspective is literally, you want to be happy in your business. Tune in, start communing with the divine. Like you said, whatever that looks like for you, right? The problem is so many business owners and entrepreneurs have stopped talking to God, stopped talking to the universe, and they've been left to their own accord, trying to figure it out. It's going to be a struggle, but it doesn't have to be. And if it's not easy, you shouldn't be doing it. And if you want it to be easy, tap into your higher self, connect with the divine, and watch what happens.
Holy smokes. Okay, my brain is exploding with all the things I want to ask you, but we have to take a quick break. Before we do, just for the heck of it, Justin, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being can't get out of bed in the morning and 10 being I'm so happy I might explode, how would you rate yourself currently?
Outside of just getting over a batch of the flu, physically, I'm much better, and I would say that right now my life is I'm feeling it. I'm feeling a 9 right now, a
Sweet.
solid 9. So, which is great because I plan on busting through to 11 and 12 in the next 2 months.
Oh my gosh, I love that you're going to break the barrier of the scale that I gave you. All right, that's awesome. We're going to take a quick break. We've been talking with Justin Recla about what's really behind a happy life. And when we come back, he and I are going to dig into the things that can get in the way of being happy and what you can do about them. Justin, what can listeners do if they want to know more about you?
Well, they can always come in and they can download the Superpower Network app by searching for Superpower Experts or Superpower Net on any one of the app stores, Google or iTunes. You can download the network there. My podcast is on there, as is yours. Or connect with me direct by sending me an email at justin@superpowerexperts.com.
Awesome. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Don Recla, Executive Director of Superpower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making Superpowerup the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower quiz. And as Neva Lee Recla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world.
We're back. Today, we're with Justin Recla talking about what's behind a happy life. It's part 1 of our 4-part series, Letting Happiness Win. Justin, you just gave yourself a score of 9 on the happiness scale and told us that you plan on breaking through the boundaries of the scale up to 11 and 12, which I freaking love. Before we went into break, you were talking about business owners and people in general sort of missing the mark on their chance to be happy because they've stopped talking to God or to the universe or sort of tapping in that way. Can you fill us in a little bit more about what you meant by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the language that we use it's this concept of, everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. Everything is has its own frequency, its own resonance. And if you're attuned to that, you'll start to notice the patterns that show up in your life and where when something feels really good, or a conversation you have with somebody feels really good, and then you go have a conversation with somebody else that's maybe in a lower frequency, maybe they're stuck in fear or something bad just happened in their life, you can tell the difference. You can experience it when you're witnessing speakers from stage, right? Energetically, as human beings, we wear our insecurities on like badges on our shirts.
So
And
true.
if you and if you pay attention, you can find you can feel those that are in resonance with a higher frequency versus those that are operating at a lower frequency. And when I say lower frequency, that's where fear is, right? That's where fear exists. And fear is literally, if you want to break it down, some people call it sin. Literally, fear comes from the fact that we don't have any type of divine being or purpose or energy that we connect with in our lives. And when you can connect in with something greater than yourself, again, I don't care what you call it. Go to Jesus, go to Buddha, go to Muhammad. I don't care. It's connecting in with that divine, because the divine is the highest frequency we possibly can exist at, right? And when we bring more of that, we invite more of that into our lives and carry that frequency, and we maintain that frequency, then life is easy, because you recognize that staying in high frequency, things just happen. One of my favorite books is Stealing Fire. And it talks about these concepts of flow state and how, in the past we've used medicines, mushrooms and psychedelics and whatnot to tap into that higher frequency. But the book makes the argument that while those are gateways to that, there are other ways to connect into that, and having that relationship with the divine is one of those. And when you can stay in flow, stay in that high frequency, life is easy.
Hmm.
Life, because you are shown, you are literally, you don't have to figure anything out. It's already been figured out. It's already in alignment, because if you're supposed to go here and you're supposed to make $1 million in the next year, or whatever that goal is that you're supposed to be doing, if that's what you're going to be supposed to be doing, the things that need to happen will line up for you. But if you're not listening, if you're not paying attention, if you're not tapping into that abstract frequency, and you're not communing with the divine, the only thing you're left with are your own thoughts, your own stories, and the programs of everybody that you surround yourself with. And if you're not surrounding yourself with billionaires who I guarantee have some sort of relationship with the divine, you're going to miss out. And life will be hard, and it'll be difficult. And not to say that you won't have certain levels of success along the way. Absolutely. There are codes that have been written on email campaigning and marketing that just work, but those don't necessarily guarantee your happiness.
So, it's so true that it's our thoughts and our stories and all of these things get in the way of being happy, and finding that way to tap in regularly is the pivot point for everybody. I mean, that's why you and I do the work that we do, and why we're so passionate about it. But I'm kind of hearing in my head, and through the experience of all of the people that I've worked with over the years, the story in their head right now is saying, all right, Justin, I get it. But when I'm in my day-to-day life and shit is just flying at me from every direction, how do I do it then?
Awesome. So, first and foremost, you have to stop and ask yourself, do you have a relationship with the divine? Because if you don't, that's the first place to start, is reconnecting into that and finding something that works for you. I don't care if you go out and you just sit amongst the glory of nature. Have some sort of practice that allows you to connect into that. But first and foremost, remembering that at our highest, when we're communing with the divine in that abstract frequency, first and foremost, nothing exists. right? This is all, we can dive down the rabbit hole of the matrix of the projection and how energy works and what we see back and so forth are just reflections of ourselves. Right? That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother a whole nother interview.
Mhm.
But in trusting in that, knowing that in that place, when you're communing with the divine and you're listening and you get to the place of trust and faith and belief in that, one, your programming starts to change, but two, the way you deal with it on a day-to-day basis is remembering that no matter what causes the constriction, whatever shit's being thrown at you, whatever feedback that you're getting from the projection, first and foremost, stop and ask yourself. Don't ask yourself. Most people ask themselves, why is this happening to me?
Mm.
Stop and ask yourself, why is this happening for me? And that slight shift in right there automatically removes the victim mentality and gives you an opportunity to examine what the projection is showing you. And then in that awareness, you have choice in how you respond. And you can either respond from a place of fear, or you're going to respond from a place of connecting in with your own divinity through that relationship and watch what happens. Because in that space, you get to change pattern behaviors. You get to change how you respond. You get to change how you used to respond emotionally, but now you get to respond from a place of being solid and knowing and understanding who you are and your purpose and mission in the world.
I love that you and Tonya use the word programming, right? I think you guys talk about like adjusting our internal software, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
When you're talking about this stuff, because when we're talking about growing ourselves, whether it's spiritually or emotionally or intellectually or physically, um, any of the ways that we're working on growing ourselves, it's not one and done, right? We try to intellectualize this stuff and say, okay, wow, Justin, you just blew my mind. That's such cool stuff. I get it. I see something new. And that's the doorway, right? Once we see something, we can't unsee our awareness. But you have to step through that doorway and you have to do it over and over and over and over, because that's the way that the spirit and the body work. It's through repetition that we're able to tap in, that we're able to break old patterns and cycles that are that hold us in place and keep us stuck.
Yeah, it's what the language I use in that is that repetition builds up cellular confidence, because it's not just a matter of programming your mind, right? Because every time you have an interaction with somebody, or you feel a particular way, happiness creates chemicals in the brain, which then get sent out across the body, and you feel a particular way. So you have to not just change your mindset, but you have to do it enough times to where the signal that doing this used to be painful, and it sends out all the endorphins to your body and signals all the fight or flight mechanisms that are built into who we are as humans. You have to do it over and over again to where it builds up not just the mindset, but the cellular confidence in knowing that you are going to be safe moving forward. And that does take practice. It does take time. They talk about, in tarot, a lot of people are like, oh, tarot, what's the government spook talking about tarot? Yeah, tarot cards, they're a tool, folks. You can use them, okay? They're, dive into them because they're a great tool for learning more about who you are and that self-reflection. But the tarot cards, one of the cards is the wheel, right? And the wheel's not necessarily just a round and round and round thing. It is every time you up level and you work through something, there's going to be first and foremost, there's going to be a challenge. It means that's something that you got to grow through, something that causes constriction. There's the identity, you got to grow through it. And then there's going to be a test to see how you respond to it. And then there's going to be a post test to make sure you're solid and that you're good now, and you're not going to go back down into your lower frequency self. And as you continue to up level, a lot of people think, oh, you know what? I'm good. I've got my money stories figured out and I've got no fear around money. That's a lie. The numbers just get bigger.
Hmm.
and the fear remains. One of my favorite quotes from any movie is Doctor Strange. And the Ancient One says, which is my nickname for Tonya, by the way, I call her the Ancient One. Is she literally says we never truly get rid of our demons. We just learn to live above them, right? And as you progress, in order to go up in frequency, you have to go in. You have to do that internal work, and it is repetition. It is repetitious. You have to do it over and over and over again to build up the cellular confidence. So when you're looking amongst your playing field, and you know I'm solid, don't get too comfortable, because guess what? There's another challenge coming, because until the point in time that you disapparate from this planet, from this plane, you always have something to learn.
Yeah, I've always described that to my clients as, if you look at your life as if it's a spiral, but spring shaped, right? So it's just like this even spiral spring. And if each one of those rings is every moment of your life, all of the best things, all of your crap, it's all on each level of the spring. As you level up, as you learn and grow, you're going to revisit those same things over and over again. But each time you come around, there's something new that you're capable of seeing because of what you've seen before. And in doing so, you move up to that next level of the spring, right? And there's no finish line to it. We just keep moving.
It's literally infinite. And the key is that most people will get to a certain level and they'll get off. And they'll get off the spring and they'll build at that level. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're in awareness of that's where you're at, right? But we see this over and over again in so many people. They get to a certain level of success. They've solved the business issues. They've got the money issues that, on how they're going to create money, but yet they're still unhappy. Right? It's that quintessential story of the billionaire who's got everything, yet he's miserable in his life. Right?
The story that he tells himself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the coach that's out there that's coaching people, and we see this across the industry as well. Of they're saying one thing, but when you look at their life, it's completely different. Right? And that incongruity. And so the question becomes, and then why is that? Well, because the material world, what you do in the world, if it's not done in alignment with the divine, no matter if you've cracked the code, you solved it, you've got $1 billion a year company, it doesn't matter if it's not in alignment with your higher self and your purpose and what the divine has sent you here to do. You're going to be unhappy.
Because, it feels hollow, right? It feels...
Yeah, because it's not solving, it's not filling you for what you're truly here to do. And business, as far as I'm concerned, is a phenomenal vehicle that gives us the mechanisms to set our own terms in life, right? Help others, but yet it doesn't matter if you have a job, if you're in a position that that's what you're supposed to be doing and it's alignment with your highest self and you're doing it at the fullest, you can be happy there too.
It really is about that alignment.
It is. You have to align with the divine. Otherwise, you spend your entire life chasing something, not knowing exactly what it is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what it is that you're disconnected. You're not in tune. And while you might be able to maintain it in moments throughout your life, if you don't have it constantly as your go-to, then life can be painful. Life can be hard, but it doesn't have to be.
It may be even things that you have actually attained, right? I've worked with hundreds of men and women who have attained, rock star status in their lives, money, jobs, titles, and they feel hollow. They've checked all the boxes, they've done all the doing, but it feels hollow because they're out of alignment. Because they never really stood back to think about what they valued, what purpose and meaning felt like for them. And the minute that they do, everything changes, right? Everything changes. And all of that ability to create success and relationships just, I mean, explodes. And for people who have been sort of had their nose at the gate of success their whole life, wondering why, when they're trying so hard and working so hard and doing so much, why they can't break through and feel that success, it's the same thing. It's a lack of alignment. It's a lack of alignment.
Well, and it's thinking that you know better. It's thinking that, well, I've taken this class, I've learned this, I've learned that, and thinking that just by implementing those kinds of things, thinking that you know better. Absolutely, you might have a certain level of success, but it doesn't guarantee you're going to be happy. If you want to be happy, tap into the divine, and if what you're doing in the world is in alignment with what you're hearing, then keep going forward. But most people get caught up in the worry and the frustrations and paying bills and getting clients and all the kind of stuff that comes with being a business owner,
right?
Or even an employee for that matter. And they don't ever stop and look outside of themselves and go, is this really where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah.
And the only way you know that is if you've done that internal work and you've connected with the divine and you sorted through all your fears, your blocks, your frustrations, your stories, your programs, all of it, right? And that's big, bad, and scary because along the way, you're going to have to lose some friends. You're going to have to stop talking to certain people. And when our egos take over, we're like, oh, we don't want that. Well, what do you want? Do you want where you're at, or do you want to be happy and be walking your purpose?
Yeah, I think that I find over and over again that one of the things that holds people in that stuck space is the fear of what about right now they're going to lose, right? What about their life right now will I lose or give up? It's that fear space. And in truth, once you're crystal clear about what you really love and value about your life, you're never giving it up. No matter what happens, you're going to hold on to it with both hands, and you won't even have to. It just stays with you. And those other things that you think you need or like or love about your life, once you have real clarity, if they're not in alignment, they're easily gotten rid of. The fear goes away about dumping them. It's about finding that clarity with what really matters to you. I think that is a key to happiness.
Yeah, well, that's something you bring. Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because one of the hardest things people have, one of the things that they have a hard time looking at and examining is it's that, like you said, it's that instant gratification piece, the right now piece, right? And when you stop and recognize that right now piece, most people that are in that right now piece and the people that they surround themselves with, the conversations they have and so forth, you stop and take a hard look at it. Most of it is just commiserating with other people's suffering or getting other people to commiserate with your own suffering, right?
They say misery loves company for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in that suffering and commiserating with others in that suffering that we find peace and peace and comfort. And we confuse that often with happiness. And it's not necessarily happiness. It's more of oh, your life sucks, so does mine. And we can be happy in that together, knowing that we're not alone. And when you get to the point in recognizing that your suffering is being caused by the fact that you're not in alignment with your highest self, and you become aware of that, if you choose to stay where you're at, that's choice. It's not victimhood. And if you're not taking action to do the internal work that's required to raise your frequency and align yourself, it doesn't matter. You will stay stuck.
So there's something about you that I didn't know until I read it in your bio. And I didn't include it in the bio because I really wanted to ask you about this in our interview. You're a channel and a medium. I know nothing about that. It fascinates me. And something in my gut said, there's something about this that ties into what this guy knows about happiness. And so I'm putting it out there to you. Tell us
Absolutely.
about it.
It wasn't till just recently that I started really openly talking about this. My close friends have known this. Tonya has, tapped into those abilities, and we've communed with the divine in some really, really neat ways. What people do, like, yeah, but weren't you with the government? I'm like, yeah, we were. We worked with some of the very first remote viewers that were part of, Project Stargate back in the late 60s, early 70s. They were doing remote viewing, during the height of the Cold War. And these are mechanisms and modalities that the government's known about. Mine came online when I was very young. I started seeing ghosts, hearing things, people talking and so forth. And for the longest time, my parents always told me that, it's just in your head, it's in your head, it's in your head, go back to sleep. They didn't know any different. But what was neat in my 20s, some of my abilities started coming back online. I had some friends that were very spiritual, very woo, and they kind of helped me understand it a little bit. And then my parents ended up apologizing to me in my 20s because they started seeing and hearing the things that I used to hear when I was a kid. Come to find out, the house I grew up in was a hospice home.
Wow.
So people went there to die, and I was picking up on, and I was hearing the patterned energy, what I refer to as kind of like echoes, right? Not necessarily ghosts, but it was the same energetic pattern that happened over and over and over again, and I was hearing them. And it wasn't until I met Tonya when I was 32, 33 years old, that she really helped me hone that and be able to hear it and help me understand how it ties into my intuition. And over the last decade or so, my abilities have evolved mainly because of my relationship with God and the divine and how I see those. It used to be that I would go into a meditative state and let whatever information was going to come through, and Justin kind of went away, right? And whatever information needed to be communicated came through. Of course, I was still there, but my awareness of what was going on was not. And over the last 10 years, I've evolved that to where I can turn it on and off any point in time that I want. I've got to be in the highest, because otherwise I'm trying to communicate from a lower frequency and it just never works. But if I'm truly in alignment and I'm connected to the divine, I've prayed, I can sit and listen. And now I sit and, somebody will like, hey, can you mentor me through something? I'm like, absolutely. You might want to record this because I have no idea what I'm going to say. And I turn it on, the information comes through, I deliver it, and I'm in full awareness of it, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to remember everything that came forth. Wow. And that's because it's not mine. I'm literally tapping into the divine. I'm tapping into other people's higher selves, and I'm seeing what is possible for them, and then just serving as that channel of information to help guide them. That's what I do with my clients. It's what we do in the risk mitigation business, our corporate counterintelligence firm. And it's really neat to see the impact, because those that take action and decide to align themselves with whatever information comes through, it's life-changing.
Yeah. And there's so much hope there. I think that people are afraid to fully tap in to what they don't understand because of feeling foolish or feeling like they'll get disappointed. That what's out there is scary or bad or less than. But in my own exploration, and like I said, I know I certainly intuit a great deal and have always in my life. But I know very little about this realm that you're talking about. Whenever I explore it, the thing that amazes me is that time and time again, the message that comes through from people is one of hope and possibility.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because at that higher frequency, in the higher self, in the abstract, in communion with God, anything is possible.
Mm.
Anything is possible. Tony's got this theory called what she calls the antenna theory, and the realm of possibility of what is possible exists at the highest frequency, what we call the abstract frequency, where the divine lives. We all have our antenna, right? And if our antenna is not raised, our frequency is not high, we're not communicating with the divine, then what's possible at those higher frequencies, you can't get picked up because your antenna is existing at a lower frequency. And the only thing that can be created at those lower frequencies is what exists at that lower frequency realm. If you want to tap into what's possible, raise your frequency, commune with the divine, and because it's there, it's available to you any time that you want to tap into it. You just got to learn how to get out of your own way so you can raise your antenna to figure out what the information that is coming through to guide you, rather than trying to go to your mind or go to other people and trying to figure out what it is that you need to do next. If you just stop and listen and raise your frequency, watch what happens.
Oh my God, I freaking love that. I am so glad you were here today, Justin. This has been amazing. Can you remind us where we can find out more about you?
Absolutely. You can learn more about me and all the shows on our network by going to any one of the app stores, either iTunes or Google, downloading the Superpower Net app by searching for Superpower Experts or by searching for Superpower Net. My shows incorporating superpowers, or you can reach out directly and connect with me by sending me an email at justin@superpowerexperts.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, listeners, we have a tool for you, as always, on A Glimpse Inside. And this one is the simplest possible tool that I could come up with. And don't be afraid, because just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not insanely effective. But the simplest tool that I could come up with that I could guarantee will increase your happiness if you practice it every day. And I'm going to give you a little warning label before I say what it is, because some of you are going to roll your eyes as soon as I say it. I promise there's science behind this. And the tool is simply smile. Smiling is actually a neurological trigger. It creates a feedback loop in the body that creates an entire chemical cocktail that makes you feel happier instantly. They did a ton of research. One of my favorite studies, they had a group of people hold pencils in their teeth and rate how happy they were before and after. And if you could imagine holding a pencil between your teeth, your body's actually smiling, even though that's not what you're intending to do. And people rated themselves as happier at the end of holding the pencil in their teeth, which you think would be terrible. But they were happier simply because they set off this biofeedback loop in their bodies. There has been a ton of research on Botox and smiling. Two studies that I loved. One says if you get Botox on your frown lines and really don't frown as much as you used to, people are happier. An opposite study, people who had their crow's feet Botoxed, those crow's feet are actually called Duchenne lines, and they're how we recognize one another's affect. So if someone smiles at you and those little creases don't happen in their eyes, you don't trust them. You don't believe that they're actually smiling sincerely. But when those little lines pop, from a physiological perspective, you know that they're sincere. And so you smile back. And it becomes a social feedback loop. So my suggestion, my dare, as silly as it seems, is to smile until the ridiculousness of it makes you smile for real. And then smile some more. And take note of how it instantly boosts your mood and energy. Note how other people respond to you when you're smiling. It's really a simple, risk-free tool for happiness. Okay, that's done. As you know, A Glimpse Inside is a really interactive show. If you'd like to tell me your story, If you'd like to come on the show as a guest or a coaching client, or maybe just access the tools that we offer, they're all printed out and downloadable for free. It's completely easy. You can do that and a lot more at aglimpseinside.superpowerexperts.com. Now be careful. Don't put the www in front of it. It's simply aglimpseinside.superpowerexperts.com. I can't wait to hear from you. I want to thank my guest, Justin Recla, for his candor and energy in sharing everything that he did with us today about spirituality and happiness. And I want to thank all of you for listening in. Next up in our Letting Happiness Win series, I'll be coaching Charisse on how to find happiness where you are without needing those rose-colored glasses. I hope you'll join us. Until then, big love.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.